final prophet is Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and Ahmadis believe that there was another prophet after Prophet Muhammad, so Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, who was born in Punjab in 1835. So that's the major difference.
Would you agree with that, Aisha? Sorry, Aisha, go first.
Yes, I think broadly speaking that is the main theological difference. I think we have a difference in how we interpret the seal of prophethood, and we believe that the prophet, we believe in the founder of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad. There's also the second coming of the Messiah that all major religions have been waiting for.
Do you believe that Ahmadis are Muslims?
I belong to Sunni Islam, and I conform to the beliefs that Sunni Islam conforms to. And if I conform to that, then if Sunni Muslims believe that they're not, then I mean, I would like, as an academic, as a researcher, I do. I think it's important to speak to everybody and to understand, and I think ultimately at the end of the day it's God who judges who is Muslim and who is non-Muslim. But of course, as a category, as a Sunni Muslim, this is, this, I conform to that belief, but I do always want to be open-minded and speak.
Sure, yes, Umar, I mean, it sounds like you're saying he's not, she's not.
I'm nobody to judge. I'm nobody to judge. I do think that people who judge are limited. I don't think human beings can judge who is a Muslim and who is a non-Muslim.
Okay.
I think it's and of course I'm not a religious scholar, but I think I think it's God who ultimately judges. So I don't discriminate against Ahmadis.
All right. But there are a number of Muslims who do discriminate against people like yourself. And what is the danger with that?
Well, the worry is that when you have people saying that Ahmadis shouldn't self-identify as Muslims, that they're not Muslims, that kind of undermines social cohesion, because what it says is they may look like Muslims, they may sound like Muslims, they even think they are Muslims, but they're not Muslims. Don't let them trick you, don't trust them. That kind of thread runs through it, and what that can lead to is sort of a sense of discrimination, and in extreme cases, persecution. That's what we see in Pakistan all the time, where our non-Muslim status has been written, apparent non-Muslim status has been written into law.
But sorry to interrupt, but Aisha, we saw in the film that there are Muslims saying, look, Pakistan is totally different. Don't just say what we're seeing in Pakistan, what we're witnessing a little bit of here. Is that right, or is there tension in this country?
Well, I think it's fair to say that what's happening in Pakistan is quite different.
Yes.
I mean, we've had a long history of severe and brutal persecution. We've had our mosques torched and people's homes have been burnt down, and you have to sign a form saying everything you believe in is false to get a Pakistani passport. So it's institutionalized, sustained persecution. Obviously, there's nothing like that. There's no state-sanctioned persecution in the UK. But there have been pockets where, if you like, Muslim-heavy areas, where there are certain communities who, I think this also goes back to the Radio 4 documentary that's now being played about Deobandis and the rise of extremists coming into the UK. I think the larger concern here, for me personally, is that ideology creeping into the UK. And I think with the rise of that extremist ideology, you have certain individuals who do have hate-filled ideology, and they do have.
How does that manifest itself in Britain?
I think the thing to remember is that individuals who have extremist inclinations, they do exist in the UK, and that is a problem of radicalization that we are facing as a community, as the society at large. And that just doesn't threaten Ahmadis per se, that threatens everyone in the community.
Okay, let me bring in Iman then from Telmama, which is the organisation monitoring anti-Ahmadiyya attacks. What kind of things have you been seeing, and are these incidents on the rise?
So in the last year we have been seeing an increase in anti-Ahmadi rhetoric that has been promoted both in the online sphere as well as on a street level. And recently, following the unfortunate murder of the shopkeeper Ascha in Glasgow, definitely we have seen an increase of attacks taking place on the Ahmadiyya community. We do tend to measure all kinds of attacks that take place on Muslim communities, and we're not in a place to judge who's Muslim and who's not.
Right.
I think it's up to the perception of individuals to see who they are, and it's up to God eventually. And
so but in terms of monitoring the incidents, are you able to pinpoint who is the people who are perpetrating the attacks, whether it's verbal or physical?
Absolutely.
Yes.
The
So is it Muslims attacking Muslims?
It comes from all kinds, but yes, that we can see that it's from different sects of the Muslim community that perceive the Ahmadiyyas as non-Muslims, that actually dehumanize them, vilify them, and obviously these messages of hate and promotion of hate and intolerance, they do not fit well with the values of what the UK stands for, or with any community whatsoever. And the concern is that if you continue to play that background noise of these messages, what would that lead to? Would that eventually lead to further hate, further extreme messages going out, further acts of extremism taking place towards this minority community and other communities?
Right. And are you witnessing, or are you hearing on university campuses these kind of negative experiences?
Yeah, absolutely. We've had some more severe incidents. So, for instance, after one of our events in a major University of London university, the actual ex-president of the Islamic Society there gave out leaflets after one of our events calling to our audience, calling for our death. We've had students physically assaulted. Now, those are the kind of exceptions. Those aren't the rule. But at a lower level, you do have a sense of anti-Ahmadi prejudice. So Islamic societies have sent out emails saying don't go to our events, they have deviant views, and they link to extremist websites. And even on a personal level, I remember when I was at my university, I remember I once received an email from the Islamic Society saying you're not allowed to use the word Islam in your event titles. So we were doing an event called Women in Islam, which we hoped all Muslims could get behind. They said you should call it Women in Ahmadiyya, which I found very strange.
And what did you do?
Well, I said you don't have a trademark on the name Islam. I mean, people are allowed to self-identify as they wish. Ultimately, as Sundar said, this will be in the eyes of God who is a Muslim, who isn't. We shouldn't groups shouldn't start imposing on other groups what they can and can't call themselves.
Sorry, go on, Aisha.
I think an important point, an important message that's coming through here, Victoria, is one thing, that there's a small group of individuals who have hijacked a certain portion of the religion, and they've assumed the mantle, if you were, of God's faithful fatwa givers, and they have ordained it upon themselves that they know what the correct theological position is, and they know that they are right. And scholars of Islam have described this phenomenon